Welcome back to another week at Full Grip Games Gym Leader Challenge League. Today we've got a double header. This is round 3. And if you stick around, the finals match will be right after this in this video. So stick around. Today in round 3, we have a psychic mirror match between Alex Carpenter on the left and myself on the right. The winner of this match will move on to the finals. Alex is playing a slightly different list. You can see he's already benched the new Iron Boulder, which can do 170 damage for only 2 energy, but only if you have the same amount of cards in hand as your opponent. So you might want to build around that, playing cards like Judge, Marnie, Iono, to put your hand size at similar levels so you can attack for big damage on a basic Pokemon. Alex is playing a Xatu focused build with Malamar and Gallade, while I am playing a Tinkaton build with Gallade and no Xatu in my list. So we'll see how the two matchups shake up. We can see that Alex has a pretty good start. He already has Xatu evolved. He has 2 attackers on the bench. He can use the Clairvoyant Sense ability to attach an additional Psychic Energy and draw 2 cards. On my side, even though I went second, you could see that I had no supportive return. I only have the attached to the active Necrozma and a Ralts on the bench. We'll see if I can draw out of that. Alex debating on playing an Ultra Ball to continue his setup here. Luckily, in a Psychic mirror match, usually Psychic takes a few turns to get set up and really put on a lot of pressure. So even though I have a slow start, at least it's not against like a colorless deck or something that tends to be aggressive much quicker. I have time to kind of hopefully draw out of what it looks like a dead hand. And you can see I do go to find the Cleffa. And I'm going to boss up his Inkay to retreat and draw 5 new cards with Cleffa's free attack, Grasping Draw. And hopefully get out of this opening dead hand. I bossed up the Inkay in hopes that he would not be able to retreat it and attack in the same turn. You know, maybe buy me an extra turn. We'll see. But we can see that Alex did just draw and pass back to me. He has nothing in hand himself. No more energies, no supporters, no Pokemon search, unfortunately. So onto my side, I do find a Quick Ball. I get rid of the Hisuian Heavy Ball to put Inkay down on the bench. Malamar is one of the best cards in the Tinkaton version of Psychic because it allows you to continue to power up attackers. There's a little bit more leeway on Alex's side because you have Xatu and Malamar to accelerate energy. On my side, it's only the Malamar, so that is a very valuable Pokemon to have in play at all times. Again, Alex just draws and passes. And that is exactly what I like to see, so I can continue to hopefully draw out of my dead hand. I had to use Grasping Draw again. I do find Malamar of my own, so I can begin using that Psychic Recharge ability to attach to that Necrozma. And here I am putting down the basic Mewtwo. I'm debating on what supporter to maybe play this turn. Normally, I wouldn't bench this Mewtwo since it does not do much damage until your opponent is at 3 prize cards. So I am curious. Since I can't see my hand, I can't quite remember what I had in hand to make me want to bench that right now. Maybe just to thin it out of the hand. I think I was debating on using Grasping Draw again, so I put Mewtwo down preemptively to thin out my hand. But I ended up retreating and using Necrozma's Barrier attack. Since Inkay is weak to Psychic, it was able to take the knockout. And I'm hoping I can then take a second knockout before Alex can draw out of whatever his dead hand is. But as you can see, he did top deck the teammates for turn, and he's just going to go for energies. He's got Counter Energy as well as Professor's Letter. And that's what he wants to see, to use the Clairvoyant Sense ability as well as to attack with this Latios that is in the active. So my Necrozma is definitely going to go down to this Latios. Latios has the Luster Purge attack. We'll see who Alex decides to attach to with Clairvoyant Sense here, who he's going to power up next. That Luster Purge attack does 180 damage, but comes at the cost of discarding all your energy. But since you play Xatu and Malamar in this list, you can kind of afford more often to get rid of all your energy. And so you'll see that here. Alex does go for the Luster Purge and takes a knockout on my Necrozma, takes his first prize of the game, and we are tied at 5-5. I love having Cleffa in play on my side, especially if I'm not going up against a spread deck. That free retreat is extremely valuable. I only play Floatstone and Escape Rope and Guzma as my switch outs. I don't play any additional tool retreat cards, so Cleffa is allows me to have that resource without having to find a tool. Because Malamar can only accelerate an energy to a benched Pokemon, you usually want to start your turn with your attackers on the bench so that you can use Malamar's ability to get energies attached to them. So having a free retreater is very beneficial in a deck that plays Malamar. And I fill up my bench 2-5 with Mimikyu, and I recovered Necrozma from the discard pile, so I could play Colress as my supporter for turn, shuffling my hand and drawing 9 new cards, hoping to find some evolutions. I want to get Curlia and Gallade up and running as soon as possible. I would really want to respond to this Latios as well, and continue that prize trade. I can't let Alex continue to take prizes or even target down some of my key support Pokemon before I'm able to do the prize trade myself. And I do find the Curlia, and I can use its refinement ability to discard the Bridget that was in my hand and draw 2 new cards. And now I think I'm just debating on which attacker I want to go with in this scenario. It's going to have to be Mimikyu probably, since Mimikyu can attack for only 2 energy. I'm going to have to copy Latios, so that is a cost that I don't really want to see since I don't run the Xatu. I'm going to have to discard all energy from this Mimikyu to take the knockout here. And my energy is much more fragile, I would say, than Alex's. Having 2 energy accelerators, again, does get that advantage. So having to discard all my energy here is not something I love to see. Now I have no energy on board. I'm very susceptible to a Hex Maniac or to a Gust knockout on my Malamar. So we'll see what Alex can do to take advantage of this situation. You can see there I put the dice so I can show that I have 8 cards in hand in case Alex wants to use the Iron Boulder attack. He would have to have 8 in hand as well. And Alex does have the Parallel City, which I hate to see in this situation. I have to discard my bench down to only have 3 Pokemon, and I'm going to get rid of that Cleffa and that Mewtwo. I don't need to see the Mewtwo until later, and I need Necrozma as a backup attacker. And then after that, Gallade, Curlia, and Malamar are the 2 main support Pokemon I always want to have in play if possible. If Alex was able to piece together a Parallel City plus a Gust KO on my Curlia or my Malamar, that might have been just the end of the game for me at this point. But I think, luckily, he does not have the Gust knockout back on me. The good thing about using Mimikyu to copy an attack in the Psychic Mirror match specifically is that they cannot then use their own Mimikyu to copycat you. So Alex has to find 3 energy to put onto this Latios once again to take a return knockout on this Mimikyu, as opposed to just 2 on his own Mimikyu. So he's going to go for Luster Purge again and discard all of his energy again to knock out my Mimikyu. Alex goes down to 4 prizes, so we are tied at 4-4, though Alex's board state looks much more menacing than mine. And I'm going to promote the Malamar so that I can have some flexibility in attaching from the discard pile to one of my benched Pokemon with its ability, as well as I think I have Escape Rope in hand at this moment, so I know I'll have a way to retreat or to get this Malamar out of the active. And here I'm deciding to use Super Rod. And this, I only played two Pokemon recovery cards in this deck in Super Rod and Rescue Stretcher. That is it, including energy recovery in only Super Rod. And I would love to put back some attacking Pokemon, as well as, you can see I'm eyeing up Mimikyu, Mewtwo for later, and Cleffa for a free retreat eventually. And I'm really thinking this over because I'm wondering, okay, if I do this now, my only basic energy recovery is now Malamar. So if that gets targeted, I'm in kind of big trouble. I have to weigh how many energies I've already gone through and how many resources I need to finish out this game. And I decide that as long as Malamar can stay in play, I should be fine to not have to put back any more Pokemon or energy from the discard pile into the deck. And I'm going back for the Mimikyu. It is the only attacker I can respond to with this Latios for only 2 energy. But once again, I'm going to have to discard all my energy from play, and I do not love to see that. I do get Gallade. I evolve into Gallade from Kirlia, and Gallade's Buddy Catch ability can search out any supporter from my deck every single turn. I choose to grab Teammates, prepping it for the following turn if needed. Psychic Recharge goes onto the Mimikyu, and I'm going to use Copycat once again to knock out this Latios. So he's attacked with Latios twice, and now I'm going to also have attacked with Latios twice, basically. We are both going through so much of our energy, discarding it all. It is a battle of resources right now. I play Escape Rope just so I can get Malamar out of the active, and he's going to offer me up his Ralts because I believe his Kirlia is prized, unfortunately. And then my supporter for turn is Hex Maniac. I spot that he is very vulnerable to that right now because he had to discard all of his energy as well. So hopefully this can swing the tide into my favor by preventing him from attacking. He only has 1 energy on Mimikyu, and like I said, he can't copycat my own Mimikyu. So he needs 2 energy on Boulder, 3 energy on Latios, or a Dimension Valley plus a Raihan or something to respond to this Mimikyu. So I'm really counting on him not being able to respond so I can take the lead. I go down to 3 prizes. Alex still at 4, and it looks like he might be a little stuck. I see 4. He has Quick Ball, Muscle Band, and a couple other items in his hand. He's not going to be able to use his abilities. He's going to go up with his own Mimikyu, not to copycat, but just to use its first attack, Filch, to draw 2 cards. So it did exactly, that Hex Maniac really did exactly what I wanted it to. It bought me another turn. And like I said, I used all my recovery cards, so I need time to get energy back on board. I don't have the ability to put 3 energy into play at a time with my own ability Pokemon. I can only do the 1 from Malamar. So I really need to have this turn to re-establish my board. I'm going to use Buddy Catch here to get Raihan out of the deck, prepping it for next turn so I can respond to whatever Alex throws at me. Again, like I said, I'm really valuing getting this energy out of the discard pile. I really need that Raihan at key moments, as well as this Malamar to stay in play to give me the resources I need. And I decide to Versus Seeker and use Hex Maniac again, and then use Filch of my own to draw 2 cards. I see that Alex probably can't respond once again to what I'm doing here unless he somehow got his own Dimension Valley off of that Filch for 2. Then he could use his Latios' attack. But luckily it looks like that is not the case. I'm going to shut down his abilities again, slow him down, so I can continue reestablishing my own board, getting energy into play. Alex benches his own Mewtwo, doesn't even have an energy attachment for turn, and uses Filch to draw 2. And now we see he found the Versus Seeker and the Dimension Valley off of that Filch. Luckily, a little too late for him. My abilities back on board, back active now that we're back to my turn. And now that Alex has spent this turn drawing, the past few turns drawing a bunch of cards, I want to reset that immediately. Put all those cards to the bottom with Marnie. And I'm going to draw 5. Alex is going to draw 4. And I'm powering up my Necrozma here. You can see I attached counter energy. I'm not going to need it as a counter energy, but it does turn on Necrozma's special laser attack. It gives it extra damage if you have a special energy attached. So even though counter does not provide 2 energy right now, since I'm not behind on prizes, it does meet that requirement of boosted damage for special laser. I'm going to use Malamar to attach to that Necrozma. And I'm just going to go up ahead again in the prize trade. I successfully was able to take 2 back-to-back prizes over the course of a couple turns without Alex being able to respond because he was so vulnerable to the Hex Maniac with discarding energy on Latios. And this is why I prefer not to play Latios in my deck. I mean, one, I don't play Xatu, so it would be more difficult to power it up more often. But at the same time, if you rely on abilities so much to power up attackers, you can't use Latios back-to-back without using all your abilities, right? Like, if I had powered up Necrozma, and then Alex used Hex Maniac and took a knockout on a different Pokemon, my Necrozma is still powered up. I don't need my abilities to attack again. So I like to have a deck where, at least in this situation, you know, it makes sense. There's definitely scenarios where Latios is really strong. You know, 180 for 3 is incredibly strong. But that downside of discarding all the energy from play, I find, can just leave you very vulnerable. And hopefully you're taking advantage of that. Alex did not have a ton of other options. The Iron Boulder is really limiting him. It is a strong card, but you can see that he has not been able to attack with it once. He's had to use Latios nearly every attack to respond to me. This is his first run with the Boulder. Maybe he needs to, I believe I talked to him afterwards, you know, he needs to build the deck a little more towards it, or I think he was considering even cutting the Latios after this match as well. So Alex takes another knockout with Latios, and we're over into my side, and I have no energy in play once again, even though I spent time getting all that energy back. I can use Mimikyu again to copy the Latios. I only need to attack 2 more times to win this match, and Alex just Iono'd me to 2 cards. Thankfully, Buddy Catch is still online. I found great cards off of that Iono to 2. I found a Raihan, but I don't want Alex to know that I have Raihan in hand already. So I'm going to search for teammates. I can take this knockout with just teammates. And I'm going to grab Dimension Valley and Field Blower off the teammates so I can get rid of the luxurious cape that he put on his Mewtwo. Now he can't tank a hit with Mewtwo. No shenanigans like that. Debating on Field Blowing the U-turn board, though he would just put it right back down, so I let him just keep it there. And right now I need to grab Dimension Valley so I can attack with 1 energy on Mimikyu, and I can begin powering up a secondary attacker to take my final prize on the next turn. So that was my thought process here. Alex, as far as he knows, I have nothing playable in my hand, and that's exactly what I want to see. That's exactly what I don't want Alex to see, right? I want him to not reset my hand, so Raihan is the card I need in case he bosses or Hex Maniacs or anything like that to try and make a comeback here. I have 3 cards in hand, and once again, Alex, I think, is going to struggle to match that hand size. Iron Boulder, while very powerful, very difficult to use is what we saw in this game. And Alex does not have many other options than to simply power up the Mewtwo on his bench. And I think his options are he can either Gust and KO my Gallade to prevent me from searching out a different supporter on this turn and hope I can't respond. Or he can Hex Maniac and hope I don't have the supporter I need in hand or an energy in hand to KO KO back with Gallade. So I have a very small hand size. We'll see. Alex just has to take the gamble here. Doesn't really have any other options. Plays the Hex Maniac of his own. Is going to go up with Mewtwo for Limit Break, doing 180 damage if your opponent has 3 or fewer prize cards remaining. I was just going to say, I hope you don't have it. Alex will go down to 2 prize cards, but I show that I have the Raihan in hand. Don't need my abilities to get the win here. I can attach 1 more energy to Gallade, and with the help of Dimension Valley, take the final knockout. So I beat Alex to move on to the finals, and we're starting that finals match right now. Me against JD playing grass. And you'll notice I'm speeding up this game because I'm going to be honest, it's not that great of a game. We're going to fly through this, but I want you to see what happened. JD went first, I went second. I had the optimal starter in Wobbuffet. I get Ralts down, and I pass. I have no supportive return. Back to JD's side, he's continuing to set up. He has Groddle. He can escape rope out my Wobbuffet so he can use his abilities. Continue getting set up. Finds Cherim. Gets his Gossifleur down. Continues to grind through. And I have Mewtwo and a Guzma, so I can bring my Wobbuffet back up, and I pass again. No other basics, no more evolutions. JD has a return Guzma of his own, bringing up my Ralts. He can use his abilities now to get all the energy he wants in play, all the energies he has, threatening a Torterra knockout on the following turn if I can't respond. I only have Versus Seeker for Guzma once again. Wobbuffet back to the active, hoping I can stall more until I get the Pokemon in play, and that I need to fight JD on this. He's able to get Groddle back into the active. Again, now just waiting to see when he finds that Torterra. Thankfully, I top deck Bridget here, so I'm like, okay, great. I'm not completely out of this yet, though it will take some time to come back from that board state. JD's abilities are shut off. Does find a Professor's Research off of the Pokegear, though. Still only needs to find Torterra to begin taking knockouts. Has a full bench. Does find the Turf Field. Does get Torterra. Will be able to knock out my Wobbuffet. And though I found the Bridget, my hand is still pretty dead. I don't really have much else going on here. All I have is Mimikyu, and I can use Filch. JD then bosses up my Ralts and KOs it. I had Kirlia in hand, so he was very smart to target the Ralts. He didn't know I had Kirlia, but luckily he targeted the right option there. I just have Filch again. I had put Ralts back down with Rescue Stretcher, and he again uses Versus Seeker to boss up the Ralts and knock me out. And at this point, he is down to 4 prizes. I haven't taken any, and I'm barely set up. Although I make a play here where there's a way I could get back in this game. I get Tinkaton set up with a Luxurious Cape as well as a Parallel City. And my hope here is that he does not have much in hand, and I can take a couple knockouts with Tinkaton. But he has a Hex Maniac of his own, unfortunately, and I was going to rely on that Tinkaton to draw me some more cards out of my dead hand right now. So JD had a very smart Hex Maniac there, stopping me in my tracks from really setting up a lot of other Pokemon. I'm able to take out his Torterra, but he will be able to take 2 prizes on my Tinkaton here, going down to only 1 prize. Though he has no backup attacker fully set up yet, he only has his Tapu Bulu with 2 energy. So if I can prevent JD from putting 2 energy on Tapu Bulu, or knocking out his Cherim, or playing Hex Maniac this turn, there is a route for me to come back in this game. And that's why I really needed to rely on that Tinkaton draw that turn. So as bad as my start was, and as strong as JD's was, there was a route back into this game, but that Hex Maniac, unfortunately, was shutting me down. My only option here is to use Copycat Mimikyu to knock out his attacker and hope he does not have a couple energy to attach to the Bulu. But he shows me he has superior energy retrieval there to get 2 more energy onto the Bulu and take the final prize of the game. And I end up losing in the finals. JD ends up winning in the finals. There was a route, play to your outs, but just wasn't in the cards. JD had the boss's orders and the gusts at the right time, was able to get Wobbuffet out of the active when he needed, And JD goes up to 3 badges. And here's a quick overview of our current badge standings. You can see JD destroying everyone currently in these first 9 weeks. He has 3 badges. Everyone else only has 1 at the moment. I have none. Alex has none. Andrew Mahone has none. All of us who were at the top last season have not made a splash on the board yet. JD is doing a fantastic job, winning with metal first, which is not super common. You can see colorless, grass, and lightning have kind of been dominating at League right now. I've been running Psychic a ton. I've been loving it, though there's usually 1 game each night with Psychic that doesn't set up well or something like that happens that you saw in this finals. So there we are. That is week 9 of season 2 at Full Grip Games. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. You can check out more data on our league at the website linked there and in the description. And that is all for today. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys next week. Bye-bye.